Hello, I'm Gary Quinn, and welcome to another episode of Ready, Set, Live. My guests today are health and wellness activists, Mariel Hemingway and Bobby Williams. Welcome to the show.
It's so
Thank
great
you.
to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Thanks for having us here.
You know, you guys are so amazing because you both embody the whole world of fitness, health, wellness, consciousness, which is really great. I mean, when you met, was there like a spark of that, or was just kind of this kind of...
Instantly.
You knew exactly.
Instantly.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting story, but he got out of a truck and his license plate said Mountain Man from Oregon. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And he got out of the truck and he got out and he was tall and big. It seemed like he got out for a long time, and I just looked at him and went, uh-oh. I knew I was in trouble.
You knew you were in trouble. No, but I always think it's so great when energies come together and you can't really explain the how, but you know there's a connection. And I love what you said on Oprah, how Bobby really saw you for who you were. And I think that's the authenticity of people, to be able to say, I don't know what the connection is, but I follow my heart and really know that that's someone that I could connect to. I think it's just 100%. It's emotionally. I mean, it moves me to see that with people. So
Yes.
When I saw that in you guys, I was like, and I knew you before, and so I saw the shift that you brought. This, I don't know, it's like flower to grow, which is brilliant.
Yeah, she had a tough time in her her relationship, and so. I don't know, call me normal. 3 generations of New York firemen. I mean, I've come from this middle class, blue collar place, and Mariel, something about that she never had in her life at all. And it was always sort of this kind of like Hollywood-esque thing going on all the time, because the whole Hemingway mystique, and Ernest and her sisters and Margot and Mariel and film, and all, and that those things tend to not be grounded. Where I come from, you can't be any more grounded, right? We're like, we say what's on our minds. We're upfront about everything. If we don't like you, we'll say it to you. She wasn't used to that. And then all of a sudden it was like, wow. I looked at her and I was like, my friends are like, Mariel Hemingway? Right. Are you kidding me? How did that happen? Like,
see, it's because you were authentic. And I think the authenticity of people is what's missing. And it's almost like, the best of you is being able to grow into your personal best when you start to be authentic.
100%. And what was so interesting for me with Bobby is that I never really knew what it was like to just be and just be okay and be happy. Like I remember one day I said to him, I said, I'm happy again today. He was like, what? Like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, no, you just don't understand. It was always like I would look for happiness, or I have my routines, or I obsess about certain things instead of just like, he brought such a joy into my life, or a recognition of joy, where I could see it and I didn't have to try to get there. It was it's been amazing. And what's also amazing is that I always thought relationships started with a big bang and then kind of slowly kind of just went.
But it's so interesting.
And it's done the opposite.
Right.
It's gone outward and bigger and better. We are more connected now than we've ever been.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And I think life is about growth and change. And if you're not doing it, then you're on pause.
Yeah.
And so many relationships are on pause with themselves or with their partnerships or marriage, but they're afraid to maybe step out of that. What would you say to someone who's in a relationship, either business or personal, that knows that that is no longer a growth relationship? And what do I do? I mean, as they're progressing and raising their frequency, they start to go, ooh, this is not making me happy.
Right. Well, it's funny because...
Well, I think that's a fear thing, right? Because change is the only constant, right? It's constantly going on.
So you have to address the fear.
So you have fear of moving ahead, or, I mean, hell, politics. I mean, everybody wants to keep everything the same. Bring Wall Street back. Keep it like this. That's all feel for stuff. You know, and we're all sitting there, you know, we're very like-minded. We all are like, hey, let's use the energy of the earth and the sun and get rid of fossil fuel. And the old guys are like, no. We got to hang on to this stuff. You guys have to use our fossil fuel. And, you know, it's definitely addressing the fear. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that's what you have to do. I think if something is uncomfortable, it's never the other person, though. It's really just about where is that discomfort coming from? Because it's not coming from the other person. Maybe they're not growing, but that's not their fault.
Correct.
That doesn't matter.
Correct.
What matters is that you address it and you go, okay, I need to look at what's causing me to stay in this place of anxiety and tightness, and be able to, you know, openly kind of grasp onto, I have the courage to step out of this place of anxiety because it's actually not serving me. You know, where is my connection to the world in this place? And just, it's kind of that mental decision to go, I've got to do better for myself.
Correct. And it's interesting. You said courage. I think courage is the step that you have to take to say, I'm growing and I want to change my life, or I want to better it, but I want to feel happy. Because people derive happiness as, well, if I have another house or have another car, or if I have a New York Times bestseller, I'll be happy. But it becomes a drug because you really aren't looking at the inside, or you keep yourself so busy you don't have to look at you.
Yeah, you don't have to look at you, because the truth is, happiness is always there.
Correct.
Love is always there. We're, you know, like we have our struggles and we have desires that we want. But the truth is, we wake up every morning, we have a routine, we look at each other, we laugh practically all day long. We're constantly in a state of like, we bring ourselves back. I mean, we get caught up like everybody does, but we bring ourselves back to, we're already just perfect the way we are. You know, does it mean we don't move forward? No, of course we do. We have to move forward. We have to build and grow, but our state is already in joy, you know?
I think that people all have a box of X's, right? This is where I work. This is my family. These are my friends. This is how I eat. This is how I live. In order to grow, you have to step outside of that box. And that's where all the growth happens, right? Because you can't stay in this little safe place, and stepping outside it is just absolutely the only place that you can actually grow. Mariel and I climb a lot, rock climbing. That's constantly stepping outside of yourself, right? Because you don't know what your next move is if you're at new places.
Right.
And you're like, well, the alternative to going for this next move is a fall. So you're scared. But then when you accomplish it, or when you do grow, you learn how to play a musical instrument, or you learn a new athletic, event, or you do yoga, something new. Mariel and I talk about this all the time. You feel fantastic. You're like, wow, that was an amazing accomplishment.
Well, it's also when you're thinking about something that's scary or uncomfortable, the thoughts are far scarier, far more uncomfortable, and far more unachievable than the actual doing of something. So when you take that step into the unknown, and it is scary, all of a sudden you go, wait, that wasn't so bad. And that's even at looking at at the things that bother us in our lives. Thinking about looking at what bothers us is far worse than actually doing it. Because when you do it, it's like, memories can't hurt you.
Correct.
They're just memories.
Correct.
They're just stories. They're just film on the floor, as Yogananda used to say, right?
Correct. Correct.
So, and the looking at them is just, it helps you to release from the idea that those old patterns and stuff control you.
And I know in your book, Running with Nature, you talk about that, of just being in silence and just really connecting to nature and spirituality and alignment with yourself. What's the what is the core takeaway from the book? There's so many hidden treasures.
Well, we're right now we're putting something together with our names that have to do with this simplistic idea, and you'll love this. Our doctors are the world-renowned doctors everybody knows them. Dr. Sun, Dr. Air, Dr. Water, Dr. Earth, Dr. Nutrition, Dr. Exercise, and Dr. Rest. 7 of them, right? They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're free. We just need to learn how to work with these guys. You know, you need to learn how to breathe. So many people don't breathe consciously. You need to learn how to eat what's best for your body, what works for you, because there's not a one-size-fits-all. That's why there's so many different diets. It's blood type, environment, the day-to-day, what you do. All these things connecting to the earth. Yeah, Mariel in the last couple of years got into earthing, you know, barefoot walking. So we've been walking barefoot through the mountains and connecting to the earth. That gets rid of inflammation within 45 minutes of having your shoes off. And everybody feels a lot better with their shoes off, like little kids, right?
Correct.
Running and playing at the beach. And you're like, wow, I have all this energy. Well, you're getting energy from the earth, you know, actual taking in negative ions and electromagnetic field. It's these types of things that we need to connect to. It's not going to come in a pill. You're not going to fix somebody by a pill. So the things that you're talking about is connecting to all these things that we are inherently connected to. Man's become this innovative capitalist. He thinks he's smarter than nature. Well, that's an oxymoron. How could you be smarter than yourself? We are nature. Correct. So Mariel and I are looking to figure out how we are part of these things, not separating ourselves and saying this is that and compartmentalizing, but that's where the spiritual thing comes in, where we're all connected.
Yeah, we're all connected. It's like, you know, we are love, we are connected to something greater, the earth, the frequency of the earth. Nature is it's like being connected to God.
Absolutely.
You know, and when you make those connections, so I would say, in answer to your question, I think the boiled down, you know, Running with Nature, our book, is really just about doing the simplest things. It's the simple things that you do on a daily basis, the choices you make that can create the greatest health and happiness. But it's about finding your route into that. It's very simple, but you've got to get rid of all the noise and the story that we tell ourselves. Oh, I can't do that. I can't. You know, Bobby's so funny because people come over and go, well, you know, I used to climb, I used to run, I used to sprint, I used to this. And he's what like, happened? Oh, what happened to that?
What happened? What is it used to? You know, and then the other thing is...
Because we do all those things.
All the time.
Almost 60, you know?
So everything's made up of 99% space. Do you understand that concept? Quantum physics, right?
Right.
If that's the truth, it's 100.1% space, and then 100.1% physical matter. That means that you and I are 99% the same, basically. And everything here is made up of that 99% space. Well, that space, what's going on in that space is what happens. Like a cone would be, what's the sound a dog makes before it barks? Right? It's the nothingness is the isness. It's the Buddhist creed, right? That space is where we're all connected. And so you can't touch, taste, hear, smell, or see anything in that space. Well, that means that 99% of everything that goes on here, you can't touch, taste, hear, smell, or see. You connect to it through love, through meditation, through the things that you're teaching people in the world. It's that spirit. That's true spirit. And we think God is that space that connects us all together.
Absolutely.
It's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Bobby, what does love mean to you? If you had to define it from someone who said, I don't know what this love is, tell me about it.
If I had to define love, what is this?
We don't have it on our planet. Tell me about this.
Wow.
We don't have it on our planet.
Wow.
How am I going to come up with it if we don't have it on our planet?
Well, no.
No, he's just saying, he's asking you what does it mean to you?
I'm flying in from another
He's
universe.
saying he's come in.
I'm on the planet Mars.
Please explain love.
And I come in and I meet you on the mountaintop and I go, who are you? What is this love thing?
I'll show you.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Are you going to make out?
There it is, man. See how we're connected? You feel that?
Yeah.
Aww. That's true.
I think that's the best way to get it started, right?
Yeah. Mariel, how about you? What's love? Should we?
Sweet. Oh.
Of course, come on.
Okay. Here. Aww. Awesome. Damn. I make sure that microphone's here.
By the way, if you're listening, we were hugging each other.
Yeah, exactly.
We were showing that physical love on planet Earth.
Right.
There's a guy from Mars, my Martian friend.
But I think love is more than, you know, I mean, we're all also so we like tangible things. We like to feel, touch, and all those senses that you say are, part of the 1%. But I think it's that 99% of space of feeling peace and joy without any attachment. I think love is really just about being at ease and at peace with yourself. So that when you connect with your beloved, like I connect with Bobby, it is just, it's like he becomes a natural expression of my own feeling. Like sometimes we don't have to say anything to each other, and it's so profound. It's not really an answer, but whatever.
but I think what's important is in this lifetime we come in, I believe, to learn how to love.
Yes.
And when we leave this experience, that is the lesson. That's the only lesson. And I think so many people forget why they're here because they fall into the rat race of, I got to do this, I must do this. But really, all there is really love. At the end of the day, that's all there is, this experience.
Yeah.
And I think people are missing that. And it doesn't mean that you go, to all your neighbors and hug them because they might go, get away from me. But you are sending them that energy of love. So that frequency, I believe, and it was interesting because I had this conversation with Greg Braden a couple of weeks ago, and he was writing about the wisdom codes. And we were talking about he's researched through every Sufism, through Hopi, that there is no past and there is no future, and it's all in the now. And I think which the power of now, I mean, it's really, if we are all in the now, this experience is all we have.
Exactly. And if you can really kind of step into that nowness or that present moment, then it's the greatest moment that there ever was. Mm-hmm. So each experience becomes like, wow, like, wow.
So you're in constant
amazement
and
gratitude.
Yeah.
And joy.
I mean, love is the only thing that transcends time. Mm-hmm. But what you were saying, if this is the only now, Mariel and I were talking about this the other day. When you do leave here, when you die, depending on how much love you have out there and connection to other people, you could die twice. Mm-hmm. Meaning, you have the physical death, but if we continue to speak about you, you're still here. We still love you for that. That's Christ and Buddha and Allah and all these sages and Gandhi and on and on and on.
They stay alive. That's the rebirth,
so
right?
So the more love you have, and the more love you give, and the more love you share, you'll be here forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Transcending time forever. That's pretty profound.
I mean, I think it's so interesting to see where people are in their life and how it's a growth. And for me, doing this work, I've grown. And I think if we don't grow, then we really aren't really authentically doing our own work on this planet.
Absolutely.
And so what have you learned just in since you've been with Bobby, what has been the biggest thing that the synergy of the two of your love energies brought together gave you?
That there was that there really isn't a need to be afraid. Mm-hmm. I think I spent a lot of my life being afraid, mm-hmm. and where there's love, there can't be fear.
Correct.
It can't exist. So knowing that, and he really has given me the confidence to step into me, mm-hmm, to just go, oh, I'm okay. I'm okay just being me. I'm okay, And what's great about our relationship is the fact that Bobby is uniquely Bobby. He has his own ways of being in the world, and I so admire, respect, and yet I don't need to be him. Mm-hmm, and he doesn't need to be me.
Correct.
So what it does is it allows us both to grow and keep growing, and yet we keep we come in. It's like DNA. We keep coming in and out of each other's lives. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's I think that's what makes our relationship so special because I also don't worry that he's going to leave.
Right.
You know?
Right. Right.
Well, we definitely give each other a lot of space.
Yeah.
And we could be ourselves when we're around each other. You know, I went to a therapist when I was 32 years old. I was in a relationship that we were fighting half the time. So the therapist looked at me and he said, he was a really cool older guy. He was in his late 70s and he was getting his black belt in martial arts. And he said, guys like numbers. He goes, so you're here today. What percentage of the time do you guys fight? And what percentage are you happy? And I'm like, well, we fight half the time. That's why we're here. He goes, 16-hour day, 8 hours of fighting? And I go, pretty much. He goes, you're a crazy person. And I said, well, what's a good relationship? And he goes, well, he's like 70-30 is tolerable. I'd rather not. I have an 80-20 right now, he said. He goes, 90-10 is the way it's supposed to be. I'm like, what? I go, who has a 90-10? He said, when you came in, we talked about your parents. He's like, they're married 60 years now, coming on 60 years, my mom and dad. And he said, you told me that they were great and all this stuff. He goes, that sounded like an idealistic answer. He's like, you also told me that all your relationships ended up 50-50 and you would just get out. There were no kids. And he said, so I want the realistic answer of what your parents do. And I just looked at him. I was like, there's no way I'm like my parents. I go, they fight half the time. And he's like, well, that's exactly who you are. And I had no idea that I was mimicking my mom and dad.
Yes.
I brought that up because 90-10. Mariel and I have a 90-10 relationship. The 90% is great. The 10% we work on, she's a girl.
Yeah.
She doesn't think like we do. I'm like, what are you talking about? No, you just fix it. You do these 3 things. I don't want to fix it. She said, then why are you telling me the problem? You're supposed to fix it. That's how so that's the stuff that that's God playing a trick. I think we all used to be one thing.
Right.
And now he separated us and this is the other half. And I'm trying to figure out this and she's trying to figure out this. And that's the ongoing relationship that makes it fun and dynamic,
But what's so interesting is that, we're sponges growing up and we realized later on that we were in relationships that created something from childhood, but it's just another movie, but it's the same actor. It's the same,
absolutely
the same situation. And then you go, I've been through this before, but it doesn't work.
You know what's so funny? That whole concept is that you continually work on yourself and you think sometimes you'll open a book and you go, oh, I've done that work, and yet it wouldn't be coming up if you were completely done with it.
Exactly.
I find it so interesting. It's like sometimes even things that I think I'm so down with, I'm like, and yet it will come just to say, are you really?
Correct.
Are you really cool
It's a
with
test.
this? It's a test. But the good news is, as you stay aware of yourself and hyper vigilant with your thoughts and things, you can get through those things pretty quickly now. Like I find that, I recognize that. I started to go down that rabbit hole, but I don't anymore. It's interesting, and that's what growth and development. I think long-term relationship is that way, and I can honestly say now we're almost in a long-term relationship, aren't we? Certainly for you.
12 years.
No.
12 years on June 1st.
Yeah.
12 years?
12 years. Yeah.
I thought it was like 5 years.
I know.
It feels like less.
Wow.
It feels like 1,000 years, and it feels like 2.
I can't believe it's been 12 years.
I actually, the year before we started dating, I had seen her at an event. And at the event, they were going to call on me because I was drinking this special water. And they were going to call on me while at the event. They talked to different people in the audience. And I was trying to figure out before this event started how I can go up to Mariel and have a conversation with her. What am I going to say? You don't want to say, I'm Bobby, I do this, I'm this, so let's go grab a cup of coffee. But she was with somebody. And I was like, it was kind of awkward. And then I said, oh my God, they're going to call on me. And they're going to say, oh, he went to the Olympic trials, he did this. They're going to give like a little background. So I get an introduction and I just can walk up to her afterwards and ask her if she'd like to go get like a cup of tea or coffee or something. 3 minutes before they called on me, and she was sitting 2 rows up, 3 minutes before they called on me, she left. And I was like, what? Wow. And then 8 months later, I was dating a yoga instructor who was friends with Mariel at the time. They had met and been friends for about a year. And as soon as I started dating her, within 2 weeks, she said, you need to meet Mariel Hemingway. And I thought to myself, what?
And
she said, I said, why? And she goes, you guys are exactly alike. And I said, but aren't we dating? She's like, yeah, but I introduce all my friends. And that was the introduction. Let's go on a hike. We'll go with
That's
Mariel.
when he got out of the truck, and I went, uh-oh, I'm
We
in
went on a hike,
trouble.
and
And I
when
thought,
we-
oh, dear,
and when we went on the
I
hike-
can't talk to him.
The hike was like 3.5 hours, and the girl that I was dating was far behind us. We were moving leaps and bounds. And we couldn't stop talking. We just could not stop talking the entire
No,
time.
we couldn't.
It was
Yeah.
insane.
Was
So
that when
funny.
you were speaking at the LA convention?
Yeah, that was close to that time.
Because I was there too. That's
Right.
where I saw
Yes.
you too. But I had seen you in Sun Valley, and I was walking. I was speaking. I don't know what I was doing there, and I remember I was looking at the books and all this stuff. And
Yeah.
I think were you speaking there?
We both spoke, I think.
Yeah,
It was very early on, and we both kind of spoke together.
Yeah. I sort of remember.
Yeah,
And,
interesting.
I think that's where I met you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was so long ago, but I love how the synchronicity of the universe, even if you 8 months later, you're brought back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the core soul group connection.
Absolutely.
And that's why
And it's timing. You also have to honor that the timing is the timing.
exactly.
So you can't say, like we won't.
I
We'll
I
often
struggle
go,
with
I
that.
wish. He goes, God, why didn't I meet you in the 90s? Why did I meet you in the 80s before you met?
I struggle with that.
you weren't ready.
Yeah.
But you
But it
see,
wasn't time.
it wasn't time.
Mm-mm.
It's divine timing.
It is.
And everything
is.
is set into the right time at the right
Yes.
situation. And it's so funny how you grow. When I wrote the first book, I got rid of everybody in my life. I got rid of 40 people
Wow.
because I had changed and I was guilty of, the people pleaser.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to
Oh, yeah.
apologize for everybody. I have to say yes. And I teach yes, but I teach yes in a different way. But I found I got rid of everybody. There was nobody when I wrote that first book left,
Wow.
except one person I knew. But these were relationships of 20 years of, and I just
Yeah.
said, boom, 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 boom. I got rid of my business partner, my relationship, but I said, ooh, I have to grow now.
Yeah.
And then I had this friend, she said, oh, when you go on this book tour, you won't be the same when you come back. I wasn't. So that's the journey that we're all taking. And I think every day we have a journey.
Absolutely.
And what's so great is that you guys can share it together.
Yeah, we're very. I feel so fortunate because I never thought that
It existed.
I didn't think it existed. I didn't think you could have friendship, relationship, love. Physical. I didn't know that you could have. Because I came from like you got to pay a heavy price for the
Correct.
stuff. Like, whoa, wow, when's the shoe gonna drop? Because this is too much fun. I'm definitely gonna have to pay for this.
When's the series over?
Yeah, yeah.
No,
and
but
it's not when you really are in tune with the rhythms of the world and nature and how you're being authentic to the truth of what's going on
Mhm.
within you and stuff like that. You don't have to pay for things, That took me that was a lesson that was hard to learn for me, or unlearn, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because that's how my parents were brought up, and, that's just how it worked. So that's, and that's one of those things that comes up periodically, and I'll go, ooh, and then, no.
Mine were easy. You go in, you have fun till it's 50-50 and you get out.
Right.
The other great thing is about when we enjoy someone who becomes a good friend or best friend, and then you
Yes.
can have a relationship that carries on to the full circle. I think that's the gift, is to be able to incorporate. Some people go into a
Yes.
relationship first without being friends, and then it ends quick.
Yeah.
I think if the friendship is based first, then there's growth.
Yeah.
And then you can connect the dots.
Yeah. Well, I think in friendship, we don't feel threatened or challenged.
Mhm.
In friendship, you're like, just my friend,
Correct.
and then to grow from that place of like, I trust you, you're my friend, a friend is there for you
Mhm.
and isn't. So when you go to a deeper place, it's like, you've got such a solid foundation, I guess, really.
Bobby,
and we started as friends.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby, what's the next bucket list that you say, I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro? I want to. What is the big?
It's literally a climb up something.
Where would it be?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question. There's some, you know what? I'm not a one person. I'm not a one track guy. Like,
Right.
I wrestled and I'd gone as far as the Olympic trials. Didn't make the Olympic team. I placed 16th in the nation. But I also played football and I raced motocross. And I love gymnastics and track and field. Like, the guys that were winning and going to the Olympics.
You were doing gymnastics?
Yeah. 300.
Oh, wow, I didn't
we
know
still have
that.
gymnastics stuff at the house. You got to come over.
Wow.
Again.
Oh, that's why you do the rings.
I got the rings, the
Yes,
parallel bars, the high
yes.
bar.
Got it.
We got a tumbling mat.
Wow.
Come on over.
I will.
Yeah.
Because I was training for the Olympic swimming since
Oh.
I was 7, and I actually met the gymnastic team from Russia, Ludmila Turistcheva, and there were all these Russian girls coming over here. But that's amazing. That's great. I didn't know that about.
Well,
it.
yeah.
so
Gymnastics is the.
so you still want to do what?
Yeah, gymnastics is the foundation for everybody. Every child, any parent that has a kid, start them in gymnastics, then they can do anything they want because the body awareness and the strength is just absolutely immense, right? For any kind of sport that you want to play.
What was
really
your
is
best?
amazing.
The rings or the horse?
At 9 years old, I started working on an iron cross. At 10, I could do one. An iron cross at 10 years old,
That's
and
pretty nice.
and I didn't stick with the gymnastics as I grew. 6'2", 200 pounds is
Oh,
not a
yeah.
gymnast, so I played football instead. But that was such a great foundation for me. We have a set of rings at the house coming from Dave Durant. Dave Durant was a ringman in the Olympics. He won medals in the Olympics. He's sending us something called the Dream Machine.
Uh-huh.
You would love this, Gary. It's a harness
Right.
and 2 leg straps. And they attach the rings through a pulley system, so your body weight's cut in half. You, yourself, could do as many iron crosses as you feel like doing, right? Inverted iron crosses, planches, all this stuff. And it doesn't hurt your joints, but it builds up all the muscle and stuff, and it gets you to this point. So get away from the gymnastics. Mariel and I are working on something pretty profound that changes human physiology, both mentally and physically. It's a chamber called stratosphere ATC that expands and contracts every cell in your body simultaneously, going up and down in elevation. I could take you to 30,000 feet in 30 seconds in the machine and drop you back to 0 in 3 seconds. So the massive pressure changes of up and down create this whole host of pharmacology that your body produces, progenitor cells and stem cells and red blood cells, and wakes up dormant parts of the brain and, makes your eyesight better, your hearing better. Instantly, like you feel like when you go in for 25 minutes you could get on a piece of exercise equipment like a bicycle, nasal breathing only, very calm, low watts, but the movement at the same time of the expansion and contraction makes you feel intellectually enhanced for like 6 to 8 hours. It's just absolutely
Is it
amazing.
a machine or?
It's literally a machine.
It's a chamber that I had built by guarded engineers who build space shuttles, and it's 2 miles from the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale, Arizona. They're doing studies on it right now, and Mariel and I plan on building many of these machines, and we want to build them and get everybody in the world involved in this so they can stay young, strong, and healthy. We don't think people are supposed to age the way they are.
Correct.
It's just not supposed to happen. I mean, think about what your grandfather looked like when he was 60. My grandfather didn't look like this at 60 years old.
No, I
Like,
know.
we're
Ernest
changing.
Hemingway was my age at the time that he died.
And he looked 80.
like it's just a different. We live in a time where, I think that when you have the intention, and it's not just a vanity thing. It's about how can I be the best I can be?
Yes.
How can it be most vital and energetic and. This vitality is possible. And I think that that's what he would like to see done with the machine. And we both would like to see people given the promise, and especially like you think of COVID, right? People have to take care of themselves. It's
Correct.
no longer like there's, I don't know, does a vaccine work? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Whatever. the truth is, you're responsible for this physical
Correct.
body.
Correct.
You need to take care of
And
it.
we're
so
all,
that's what we're.
yeah, we're self-healing, self-sufficient, self-sustaining, provided the right information and environment.
Yes.
Those 7 doctors I talked about,
Yes.
the sun, all those guys will provide you everything you want. People think that when they take something for a cold, that's getting rid of the cold. Your body gets rid of the cold.
Correct.
You're just putting it in an environment that it needs to be in order to be healthy. Your body won't get colds if it's healthy and has proper bacteria and all those things.
Breathing properly. We've gotten so into breathing lately. We're so obsessed with nasal breathing and the power of breath.
6 times more oxygen in your body if you breathe through your nose. 6 times. 16 times more nitric oxide in your body from breathing through your nose. If you breathe through your nose at night and don't snore and keep your mouth closed, Mariel's taping her mouth closed. Okay? Check this out.
Yep.
Your body releases something called vasopressin. Vasopressin is a regulator of the water. You drink a glass of water, you snore, you keep your mouth open, you do heavy mouth breathing, you will have to get up to go to the bathroom. You don't, and you won't have to go. It won't go through your kidneys or into your bladder. Instead, it goes into your cells and hydrates everything. So
it blows my mind because I've been taking
she slept
my
last
mouth.
night 10 hours.
I slept
Masking
10 hours.
tape?
I take a. It depends, but usually it's like an extra, like the sports tape.
Right,
so
right.
I just put that over my mouth, I'm like completely. And Bobby calls me the mummy. I'm like,
mummy.
You can leave me alone now. And I used to wake up.
She slept 10 hours last night,
2,
not
3
getting up.
times a night. I do
That's great.
not get up. It just blows my mind.
It's like, how is it possible? Learn how to breathe.
so
That's how it's
crazy.
possible.
When is the machine available?
The machine, okay, we're talking to some pretty big people right now to get
Okay.
this out. I'm going to build a home version so that everybody can have it, and it'll be a lower elevation, but we're figuring out elevations for, low to mid. And, there's even some interest from some pretty big people, in bigger sports. We have to finish this 1 round of studies, and that's VO2 max, EPO, and recovery. We've got a lot of preliminary data that's absolutely mind-blowing. We know what we're going to get. We don't know exactly, but the numbers are going to be really high. Literally, I can increase a maxed out mile runner, say that's running a 3:43, fastest mile in the world, right? I can increase them somewhere between 3 and 5%, which means they'd run 320 something, same person, in 90 days. Wow. So I'm hoping to get chambers out by the end of this year. Right. Start getting them out to exact people. And I'm laying it out right, Gary, because it's really important that we give it to the right doctors, the right people. We're working with Rudy Tanzi. He's the head of neurology anti-aging over at Harvard, head team doc, New England Patriots, wrote 2 books with Deepak Chopra, and he plays keyboards with Aerosmith. That guy. So we're working with that guy. That guy knows what he's doing. So we're strategically laying this out and putting a foundation so we can continue to do studies and apply those studies into the software to everybody. And I'm thinking about the end of 2021, you'll start really hearing about it. It's pretty profound.
Well, when you finish it, you'll come back and we'll talk about it. Or
well, I'll
maybe
come back and
you'll
say, you'll look at me and say, who are you? It's me. I'm 15. It worked. You got to come check this chamber out.
Exactly.
Oh, God, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming. If people want to get in touch with you or connect to your Instagram, it's on. It's up on the board here.
Yep.
And thank you both for coming in. It's always a pleasure.
It's such a pleasure to be here again.
It's fun. We always have a great time. And we'll come out and I'll do the rings.
You're definitely doing that. You'll love it. You'll be like, I can't believe how strong I am.
We're long overdue for a brunch.
Bobby's
anyway,
my trainer.
You'll do it. You'll do it.
The good thing is that you train and then we cook and then we gain. Yes, exactly.
Train and gain. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to thank everybody for joining me for this episode of Ready, Set, Live. Until next time, see you very soon.
Cool.